So according to Salon.com, not only is calling out Rings of Power by defending Tolkien's works makes us racists, white supremacists, what have you, but also Tolkien's works themselves are inherently appealing to fascists. Hello, this is Maria Jade, and I'm back with another video, and the mainstream media, the access media, so forth, have pretty much become walking definitions of insanity, meaning they do the same fucking shit over and over again, expecting different results, and yet having the fucking nerve to act surprised when the same reactions occur to their accusations. Namely, the walking away in droves of existing fans of an intellectual property, whether it be the Tolkien's fandom, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and so forth. But at any rate, let's just dive right into this stupidity, this definition of insanity. So here it is. Since Amazon announced actors of color, don't you fucking love that phrase, actors of color? Among the cast of its new series, Rings of Power, in February this year, criticisms of their inclusion have gained media attention. The coverage typically positions criticisms of Rings of Power as backlash from true diehard fans resisting so-called wokeness. Pretty much yes, but we would also equally call out if other characters, let's say Blade, Luke Cage, Storm, Vixen, what have you, if they were race swapped, we would call that out as well. But no. It doesn't work like that in their minds. Because we're calling out actors of color, or at least we're pointing out the fact that Tolkien explicitly describes certain races and subsets of races to look a certain way, and we're saying no, that makes it tokenization right there. The fact that you're doing this doesn't matter to these people. Doesn't fucking matter to these people. They're looking at those who are, they're only looking at the white critics to push their narrative. And they're fucking ignoring everyone else who doesn't fit that narrative, who's also criticizing what Rings of Power is doing. This misrepresents the situation. There are also fans who welcome the increased diversity over what is seen in Tolkien's novels and previous adaptations. Fans. Get it fucking right. Fucking media. Racist abuse of actors of color and the review bombing campaign against Rings of Power suggest that there is more going on than just fan disagreement about Tolkien's world. Receipts, bitch. Receipts. Proof. There has been no fucking proof whatsoever except what the showrunners, producers, and actors have said. That's fucking it. And in the age of social media and screenshots, you couldn't take any screenshots to prove what you're claiming? None whatsoever? And then the review bombing. Yeah. Review bombing happens on both extremes. So pull the other one, folks. As Tolkien researcher Craig Franson explains, far-right political actors are whipping up the controversy, weaponizing it to help get fascist talking points into the mainstream. Yes, that dreaded alt-right. Franson shows that the right-wing outrage machine stirred up a massive hate mob through mainstream right-wing press. It's always the fucking right wing with these assholes. It's always the right wing. Never mind that I know people within the fandom that are not fucking even remotely close to being right-wing. But it's always the fucking dreaded alt-right to these people. They can't admit the truth. If they would admit the truth, then their narrative would fall fucking apart so fucking easily. But they can't. Because they have to run with that narrative. They can't see reality as it is. Fans who feel they are defending Tolkien's legacy are being used as pawns to serve dangerous anti-democratic and anti-egalitarian agenda and siding, whether they mean to or not, with racist extremists. So basically, you all are stupid pawns. You all are fucking stupid pawns. That's what it's according to Salon. You're just stupid pawns. You've been easily manipulated by siding with dangerous anti-democratic and anti-egalitarian agendas and so forth. Salon is calling you stupid. Fascist appropriation of Tolkien's work may seem surprising given his anti-Nazi statements, which include calling Hitler a ruddy little ignoramus. It is not new, however. In the 1970s, the books became favorite of Italian fascists who even held a Camp Hobbit festival to promote their politics. doesn't fucking make critics of what Rings of Power are doing fascists. And just because fascists read it does not mean his works are inherently appealing to fascists. It means his works appeal to everyone. Does not mean we agree politically with the fuckers who are reading it. In the early 2000s, the now former extremist Derek Black Jr. started a chat forum dedicated to The Lord of the Rings on a major white supremacist website when Peter Jackson's films came out. He told New York Times, "I figured you could get people who liked with such a white mythos a few turned on by white nationalism." Again, is not at all indicative of the entire fandom as a fucking whole, but yet they can't fucking admit that, because if they did, their narrative would fall apart. Bad apples here and there does not a fandom make. Not all racism is fascist, a specific political ideology, but the far right always has racist elements in its ideologies. Okay, if you actually looked at Nazi Germany, that political structure actually agrees fucking more with the far left. If you actually fucking looked at it, if you actually touched a history book that wasn't biased, their politics actually align with more of the far left. But they can't admit that, can they? It's always the far right. Tolkien made statements against Nazis and also apartheid, but this is not the same as being anti-racist or pro-equality. His condemnation of Hitler, he wrote in the same letter, was for ruining, perverting, misapplying, and making forever a curse that noble northern spirit, a supreme contribution to Europe, which I've ever loved and tried to preserve in its true light. You're fucking taking his quote out of fucking context. You are fucking taking his quote out of fucking context. And I guarantee you, a lot of people who watch my channel, who watch my videos, have read his letters, and they will fucking call you out. You are painting Tolkien as a fascist. You're painting him as a racist right fucking now. The comment shows that he believed that some people were essentially different to and better than others. This notion is foundational to racism. Tolkien's belief in racial difference translated to Middle-earth. Within the imaginary species, elves and humans in particular, there are hierarchies. Some humans are inherently better than others. We see this when Faramir talks about high men of the West, the Middle Peoples, men of the Twilight, the Wild, the men of the Darkness, and the Two Towers. Again, taking shit out of context. I wish I could go into this in more detail, but I gotta get through this fuckery. Individuals from high races may have moral failings and become evil, but collectively they do not serve it. Physical characteristics like hair and skin color are linked to non-physical traits in ways that reflect the logics of real-world racism. You have these fuckers claiming Tolkien's a racist, and then you have fuckers on Twitter saying that Tolkien would spin in his grave at the racist backlash against Rings of Power. So which is it, fuckers? Which fucking is it? Is he racist or not? You can't have your cake and eat it too. And that's what you're trying to fucking do. There are traces of evidence that Tolkien did not imagine good peoples as exclusively white. Traces of evidence. He literally told Hitler to fuck off. If he was at all racist, if he was at all fascist, if he was at all akin to aligning politically with Nazi Germany, he wouldn't have told Hitler to fuck off. But you can't admit that. You can't look at that and say, well, that just shoots my fucking argument out of the fucking water right now. The ways these are expressed still sometimes reinforce racial hierarchies. In The Return of the King, some people who fight against Sauron are counted as men of Gondor, yet their blood was mingled, and there were short and swarthy folk among them, because some of their ancestors were not high men of the West. Okay. What's your fucking point? What's your fucking point? Good species and races in Middle-earth are constructed through references to European cultures, especially Northwestern Europe, and the bad races are constructed through Orientalist stereotypes. Tolkien's letters show the ways that real-world ideas about race influence Middle-earth. He wrote, "I do think of the dwarves like Jews at once native and alien in their habitations." Right? Nothing to do with the racist mindset of Jews. He's talking about the displaced Jewish peoples, at once native and alien in their habitations. At once native and alien in their habitations. That's what he's fucking meaning. The displacement of the Jewish people. In a 1958 letter about a film treatment of Lord of the Rings, he wrote, "Orcs are squat, broad, flat-nosed, sallow-skinned with wide mouths and slant eyes. In fact, degraded and repulsive versions of the two Europeans' least lovely Mongol types." In that quote, he's actually calling out Europeans in a way. He's actually calling out the mindset of like Europeans in general in that sense. There is evidence that he revised his representation of dwarves between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings to try and move away from anti-Semitic stereotypes. There is no such evidence for orcs, even though he wrestled with the moral problem of purely evil species of beings. The combination of racial stereotypes and hierarchies built to Middle-earth make Tolkien's work appealing to racists and a useful political tool for the far right. There is, however, more to the world and stories he created. Being troubled by racism is also not just a new woke reading of Tolkien's writing. C.S. Lewis wrote a review in 1955 of Lord of the Rings that reported some readers imagine they have seen a rigid demarcation between black and white people draw along clear moral lines. They're taking this again and painting fans with a broad fucking brush. Given Lewis was Tolkien's friend, it's not surprising that he defended the books. A letter in the Fanzine Zero from 1963 expressed concern about subtle racism hierarchies within humanity and monochromatic representation of elves and orcs in Middle-earth. I don't have any fucking words with this article right now. The need to overcome differences to form alliances and make the world better is a central theme in Tolkien's writing. Evil is defeated only when different peoples of Middle-earth, such as elves, dwarves, and humans, fight against it together. The pro-social values of cooperation and acting for the good of others are embedded in Tolkien's stories of Middle-earth. And yet they appeal to fascists. And yet his works appeal to racists, white supremacists, and fucking fascists. How does it appeal to fucking fascists if that's one of the central themes in his works? You goddamn fucking assholes. They are also at odds with racism and fascism, which see others as not only different but inferior, dangerous, not to be trusted, that is, as enemies. Scholar and fan Dimitra Fimi has written, Tolkien's racial prejudices are implicit in Middle-earth, but his values, friendship, fellowship, altruism, courage, among many others, are explicit, which makes for a complex, more interesting world. Again, calling Tolkien racist. Calling the man who told Hitler to fucking fuck off racist. Casting actors of color to play elves, dwarves, and Harfoots in the Rings of Power does not insert beings who are not white into the imaginary world of Middle-earth. When we criticize this, we are coming from the standpoint of Tolkien describing certain races, certain subsets of races, like I said, particular ways. We would be just as upset if characters like Blade, Luke Cage, Vixen, Storm, Black Lightning, what have you, if they were race swapped. If any other character, if he or she is written a certain way, and then someone comes in and goes, you know what, I'm going to change the race. Let's say Black Panther. Change the race to a white South African, alright? We would be just as upset at that because, no, T'Challa is black. But it's okay to race swap from white to black because of reparations, I guess. I don't fucking know. But you're telling black people in particular, but you're telling the other skin, like those of other skin colors, that they're not worthy enough of original characters. They're not worthy enough of original characters. They will accept the sloppy seconds you give them and like it. That's what you're telling them when you do this shit. That's what you're fucking telling them. You're saying, we're giving you tokenization, we're giving you representation in that format, and you will like it. Because that's all you're fucking worthy of in these people's minds. And yet, they want to call Tolkien fans racist. They were already there, constructed through outdated, even for Tolkien's time, concepts of racial difference among humans and false stereotypes about real peoples. Tolkien's imagination was vast and varied, but it was not without limits. The world he created reflected some of the worst aspects of reality with its racist stereotypes and hierarchies. All adaptations, including Tolkien's writings, change their source material in ways that reflect the time and place in which they are made. With Rings of Power, Amazon Tolkien estate headed by his grandson Simon, and if he's at all has any power in this series, to Simon Tolkien, and their partners have decided to protect the positive, humane aspects of Tolkien's legacy, which represented the best rather than the limits of his imagination. There it is, folks. There it fucking is. Racist, white supremacist, fascist. They're all three out there in this article. There it fucking is, folks. They dusted off the same playbook, and this is what we have. This is what we fucking have. The definition of insanity. Pretty fucking much. Doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results, and then having the fucking nerve to act surprised when we have the same reaction, and that is this to them. But what are your thoughts down in the comments below? Do you agree with this article? Do you disagree with this article? Have you been watching Rings of Power? What are your thoughts? I have been watching it. I'm not saying how, but I've been watching it and reviewing it. And we'll be watching the fourth one, God help me, this Friday morning, and try to get a review out early because I plan to take a nap in the afternoon and not do a live stream on my new live channel, Jade Shadow Live. Look for stuff I'll be uploading there. Because I'll be attempting a 12-hour Twitch stream this Friday from about 8:30 p.m. Eastern to 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So come hang out with me then. Follow me there, Jade_Fire on Twitch. I play a variety of games, so you want to see a gamer rage at different games and have a cunt counter in my chat, come over there and have some fun. Again, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Instead of the cringe factory this week, I plan on doing a spoiler discussion for Cobra Kai Season 5 because I'll be talking about enough cringe throughout the week, so I wanted to talk about something positive, and I very much love the new season of Cobra Kai and cannot wait to see Season 6 whenever it drops. So I will be doing that instead about 8 p.m. Eastern on my channel. Same time, same day as Cringe Factory this coming Wednesday. So, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This is Mara Jade. Catch you on the dark side, and fuck you, Salon.